I was just 7 days away from turning in the most crucial piece of writing I'd ever created, my graduate thesis. Months of sleepless nights, endless cups of coffee, weekends spent glued to a screen, dissecting studies and formatting every citation to perfection. Everything, all of it, lived on that laptop. It wasn't just a device, it was my anchor, the last step between years of sacrifice and the career I'd been clawing my way toward. I lived on a shoestring, worked shifts at a campus diner, paid my own rent. I didn't have money for cloud storage, much less a backup laptop. But I didn't complain. I was building something real, and I was proud of that. Please subscribe to our channel and let us know in the comments, from where are you watching this story? That night, my younger brother kicked open my bedroom door. He wanted me to drive him across town to some party. I calmly told him no, I had too much to finish. He rolled his eyes. "You think you're better than everyone just because you go to grad school?" I didn't even respond, and that was my mistake. Minutes later, a sharp crash echoed from the living room. I sprinted out and froze. There, on the hardwood floor, my laptop, shattered. The screen cracked right down the center, the keyboard ripped off, the whole body twisted like it had been stomped on. My brother stood over it, arms folded, smug look on his face. "Oops," he said, barely hiding a grin. "It slipped." I dropped to my knees. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. That laptop was everything. My research, my drafts, my future. I turned to my parents, barely holding back tears, and they laughed. My mom actually waved her hand and chuckled. "It's just a computer. Don't be so dramatic." My dad joined in. "Back in my day, we used typewriters. Should have printed it out." It was like I didn't exist. Like everything I had worked for, everything, didn't matter. But it got worse. Because my brother, he didn't deny it. He just shrugged and said, "Maybe next time don't act like you're the only one who matters." I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just walked away. I sat in the dark, numb, my heart pounding, rage burning beneath the surface. And in that silence, I made a decision. This wasn't going to be the end of my story. It was the beginning of my revenge. I pawned the only thing I had of value, my guitar, skipped meals, took extra shifts. I scraped together every penny I could. Then I begged my professor for a 1-week extension. I spent nights at the campus library, used flash drives, Google Docs, borrowed machines, slept on couches, typed through blisters, and I kept going. But while I was rebuilding my thesis, I was also keeping notes, because I wasn't just going to recover my work, I was going to expose my brother. He had a history of getting away with things. Fake IDs, party damage, things he'd blamed on friends or neighbors, charges to my parents' credit card they never questioned, but I noticed. So I started collecting receipts, screenshots, evidence, and on the day I resubmitted my thesis, I made an appointment with the dean. Not about me, about my brother, who had plagiarized an entire assignment last semester. I had the original. It was copy-pasted. I kept my mouth shut for days after, not out of guilt, but because I needed time to rise from the ashes my family had tossed me into. And all the while, my brother strutted around like nothing had happened, still their golden child, still praised for just passing or not crashing the car. Nobody asked how I was doing. Nobody said, "I'm proud of you." Instead, my parents bought him new speakers for his car and threw a barbecue in his honor for staying out of trouble. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding my life with duct tape and fury. But life has a strange way of rewarding those who don't give up. My thesis didn't just pass. It got selected for a national academic award. I was invited to present it at a professional research conference in Chicago, all expenses covered. I didn't even tell my parents. I just packed my one good outfit, boarded the flight, and stood in front of a packed room filled with scholars, innovators, and leaders who actually saw me. They clapped. They asked questions. They treated me like someone who mattered. But when I came back home, chaos had already erupted. Turns out, my brother had tried to submit a plagiarized article to a local magazine under my name. The magazine contacted me for edits, assuming I wrote it. I traced it word for word to an obscure blog post. I confronted him, calmly, showing him the proof. He just laughed. "No one's going to believe you. You're the dramatic one, remember?" But I wasn't just the dramatic one anymore. I was the one with evidence, with credibility, with momentum. I sent a full report to the university board, to the magazine's editorial staff, to the ethics committee. But that wasn't even the biggest blow, because I had also compiled a digital archive, dozens of transactions my brother had made using my parents' credit card, fake IDs, new tires, gambling websites, and worst of all, a $2,500 student credit line he'd applied for using my name, complete with a forged signature. It wasn't just betrayal, it was fraud. I met with legal counselors at my university's free legal aid clinic. We filed the report, and the bank launched a formal investigation. That's when my parents finally started to panic. My mom cried, "You're tearing this family apart over money." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "No, he did that the moment he destroyed my work, and you laughed." They tried everything to shut me down. My dad offered to handle it privately. My mom whispered, "Just let it go. We're family." And I said, "I am family. You just stopped treating me like it." The court date was set. My brother tried to plead emotional distress. My parents tried to spin it back on me for not telling them earlier. But I walked in calm, prepared. I brought printed emails, transaction logs, screenshots, bank forms, a quiet, steady voice. I wasn't after jail time. I was after accountability. I asked for full restitution for the cost of the laptop, for the stress, the damage, the stolen identity, for the time it took me to rebuild. $75,000. The judge ruled in my favor. My brother's accounts were frozen, and for the first time, my parents actually looked afraid. They offered to pay the settlement as a family. My dad even said, "You know what? She is the favorite after all." And that's when it hit me. I was never their daughter. I was their scapegoat until I became their liability. So I walked away, quietly. And when they tried to contact me, they got an automatic message. "This number is no longer available. Please reach out to your favorite child instead." 6 months passed. I didn't hear a word from them. My brother tried once to DM me, blaming me for ruining his future. I didn't reply, because I was done trying to be heard by people who only saw me when I was useful. I moved to a new city, got hired by a policy think tank, a place that actually valued my ideas, respected my name, paid me fairly, gave me room to grow. But the universe, it wasn't finished yet. One evening, I got a call from a woman named Olivia, editor-in-chief of an up-and-coming investigative journalism platform. She was following a story about academic fraud at a well-known university. My brother's name had surfaced multiple times, linked to ghost-written papers, fake letters of recommendation, and more. She found my name in the court records. She said, "I'd love to hear your side." At first, I hesitated. But then I realized my silence had protected them for too long. So I said yes. I didn't badmouth anyone. I didn't exaggerate. I just told the truth about a girl whose entire academic future was crushed by her own brother, about parents who laughed while their daughter begged for help, and about how they only started caring when the courts got involved. The article dropped 3 days later. Title: Family Loyalty or Family Scapegoat: One Woman's Fight Against Toxic Silence. It went viral. Professors shared it. Neighbors reached out. Even my high school teacher wrote, We always knew you'd rise above them. As for my family, they lost everything they cared about. My mom's book club dropped her, my dad's promotion quietly vanished, and my brother blacklisted. No internships, no graduate programs, no second chances. Because now people had proof. Not rumors, not gossip, receipts. But here's the twist. The think tank I worked for, we recently acquired a beautiful historical estate back in my hometown to turn it into a research and innovation retreat. Guess who used to hold their family reunions on that same property? Yep, my parents. They didn't know I owned it. They reached out to book it for their usual summer gathering, and I was the one who received the request. I didn't reply. I had my assistant send back the new venue policy. All bookings subject to approval. Family members with active litigation history or prior abuse complaints will be declined. They got the message, loud and clear. But it didn't end there. 1 week later, I was on site preparing for our annual retreat, and I saw a familiar car pull in. My parents stepped out. Older, hunched, deflated. They didn't recognize me at first. I was in a tailored white suit walking beside the program director and keynote speaker. I didn't look like the girl they used to ignore. My mom stammered, "We didn't know it was you who..." I raised a hand. "You did. You just never imagined I'd own anything worth walking into." They tried to apologize, tried to say they were just scared I'd destroy my brother's future. I smiled. No, he did that. I just stopped cleaning up after him. They asked if I would consider letting them use the space. I answered politely, "There's a beautiful public park 2 towns over. I'm sure it'll feel much more comfortable." Then I turned away. I didn't yell, didn't gloat. Their silence, their stunned faces said everything. Because in the end, I wasn't the scapegoat anymore. I was the legacy they tried to bury. The woman they dismissed, now holding the keys to everything they lost. And that was justice. Not loud, not cruel, just final. Like this story, subscribe to our channel and tell us in the comments what would you have done in her place.